Next speaker.
Thank you, Lasky Corla. Taoiseach, after your reshuffle today, you seem to have learned nothing. On the 23rd of May, your government took a hammering of Brazil, German-like proportions. But instead of, like Scolari, apologising and taking full responsibility for that, what we're seeing is a continuation of the same tactics. The message the electorate delivered, in case you're confused, was that they wanted a lifting of austerity and they didn't believe in your fake recovery. But yet, you didn't even mention the word austerity once in your speech, and nor, I believe, did the Taoiseach. What we haven't heard is the announcement of one policy change by yourself. We've seen a few new faces and the rejigging of a few new departments. But the strongest message the electorate delivered was to the Labour Party. And we have a new leader and we have a new Taoiseach. She's mentioning the buzzwords of low and middle income earners, working class people who you betrayed and your party betrayed in the election. You discovered, I think it was last weekend, that there's a housing crisis, that there's a problem with low pay. Well, now today you've announced that you've got full control, the Labour Party has, of the Department of the Environment. Is there any chance of an actual house being built any time soon for the people out there? Is there actually any chance of that? Because you talked about increasing supply by 2020. There are people in your constituency contacting my office, actually in cars and also in tents now in other people's gardens. Have you anything that you're going to announce to do about that? Or is it all just window dressing, like the threshold helpline that you set up recently, which, on questioning by myself, has helped 6 people in 3 weeks? And you seem to be continuing on the same policy. I wonder if Labour got anything to say about Big Phil, off on his big fat salary to Europe.
Well, Minister, we usually use the term Minister.
Oh, sorry, Minister. Off on, he's not a minister now, off on his,
former minister.
Having inflicted the hated property tax on tens of thousands of workers in this country. It's absolutely galling for people out there to see you being promoted now for what you've done. But you're leaving Labour in your wake in charge of the water tax, so they have got a chance to accept the message delivered by the electorate and announce the abolition of the water charges. Taoiseach announced there'll be a low pay commission. We don't need a commission on low pay. It should be obvious to you that workers need a minimum wage of at least €11 an hour. They need the restoration of the pay cuts that the man sitting beside you there, Brendan Howland, took off them. And will you stop encouraging the race to the bottom that your government is so doing? Very lastly, the Taoiseach mentioned that people have been through the wars. He's right. They've been through a class war. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, spoke about a class war, and we all know which class is winning. You've got a last chance even now to stop paying $8 billion this year in bondholder debt, which you're taking from the pockets of working people and giving to the bondholders. That's the most significant announcement that you could make today, to lift austerity and to create public investment, to create jobs and build the houses that we need.
Deputy Shane Ross.
This Fine Gael Labour government was tried, convicted and condemned by the ordinary people of this state at the ballot box on May the 23rd. Today, however, instead of expressions of remorse and a declaration of major changes away from the disastrous austerity policy, we get rhetoric as usual. A continuation of destructive austerity that has already wreaked havoc on our society to, let us remind ourselves, salvage the European financial market system and a sick European capitalism from its crisis, a system that is built on speculation, profiteering and naked greed. Working people, pensioners and the poor continue to pay dearly. The Taoiseach Labour leader has the nerve to stand up today and pretend to be a champion for low-paid workers. In the same week that Greyhound refuse collection workers have a blunderbuss put to their head to take a 35% wage cut. And this is legal in an Ireland with a supposed Labour Party in power for the last 3.5 years. It's a bit late to be coming in a reincarnation as a champion. Now, the water tax constitutes the next most serious attack on living standards on our people. The Taoiseach admitted in this hall that it would be €580 per household on average when the policy of so-called full cost recovery is implemented in a few years. Hatred for the water tax was a major factor in Labour's annihilation at the local and European election. Today, in what must be an act of supreme arrogance, the Labour Party takes direct ministerial responsibility for the implementation of this regressive bondholders' tax. What happened to the limits of austerity that Tánaiste de Burton has been preaching about for the past few months? Today it's clear it's austerity as usual. So I say to Fine Gael, and particularly to the Labour Party, prepare for a major revolt of people power when you try to implement your water tax. Prepare for the disappearance of what little support you salvaged from the local and European elections. James Connolly and Jim Larkin set out to build a mass political movement for working class people in this country.
Thank you, Deputy.
And for the socialist transformation of society. That goal has been betrayed by generations of right-wing Labour leaders. The task is nevertheless as urgent as it ever was. And working people, men and women, the left, socialists, we undertake that task. But it'll be in the teeth of what the Labour Party is doing.
I now call on